Another big game in the Big 12 is Cincinnati heading to Utah. The Utes are 7.5 point favorites against a Cincinnati team that is looking to stay at the top of the Big 12. This Bearcats team came into the year, I think, with looking to be better, and they have exceeded those expectations. They're playing with a ton of confidence thanks to their star quarterback, and they find themselves 7-1. And that is not something that I think anybody had in the cards for this team. Now, Utah is also trying to keep their Big 12 playoff hopes or Big 12 championship hopes alive at 6-2. A loss here would essentially put those to bed, but they're playing at home, and playing at home at night against Utah is always going to be a challenge. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Brendan Sorsby is playing his best football right now, completing over 65% of his passes, throwing for over 1,800 yards, 20 touchdowns to just one interception. He's also run 69 times for 425 yards. He's averaging 6.2 yards per carry and has 7 touchdowns. This offense is balanced, and a big reason is because of Sorsby, but there's also guys that you need to give some recognition to. Tawi Walker and Evan Pryor are having great years for the Bearcats. The passing attack is as balanced as you'd probably want it to be. Cyrus Allen, 381 yards. Caleb Goody, 359 yards. Jeff Caldwell, 337 yards. Joe Royer, 340. There is not one guy that has been the consistent go-to guy, which maybe will be a problem if they need like a go-to or a big time play in a big moment. But so far, this group has been by committee, and that's worked for them. Sorsby has found ways to get them all the football, and that could present some other challenges for Utah. You look at some of the teams Utah's played this year. Texas Tech specifically was able to spread things out and get the ball to multiple playmakers. If Cincinnati's able to do that, maybe they have a pretty good chance to win this one, pull off the upset on the road. Now, the defense has been very interesting to watch this year for Cincinnati. They're giving up just 19 points per game, and that has been a big reason why they've had success as well. So when they've needed to score points, the offense has stepped up. When they needed the defense to do their part, they've done that as well. And one of the names that we just haven't seen as much or been talking about as much is Dante Corleone. I wish that we were talking about him a little bit more, but we're not. And that's a guy that if you can replace him, and so far they've done a good job of that, then you're in good hands. And this defense has been kind of similar to the wide receivers. There's not really one player that you would say, hey, this is a guy that's head and shoulders above the rest. He is our superstar on defense, and that's okay. That's what they kind of need. They need a group that's going to rally to the football. They're going to need to be physical because Utah is going to bring that physical approach. And we saw what they did to Colorado last week. That's a group that's not messing around. Now, for Utah, this is a big opportunity because, like we talked about, you are going to still have your Big 12 title hopes alive, and that's on the line right now. And you need to be able to win this one to be able to handle business and make sure that you're in a position to make that happen. Now, I don't know what's going on with Devin Dampier, but when he's played, obviously he's been good. And even when he hasn't, you saw last week, Bert Ficklin was really good. And I think that he can get the job done, but long term, you're going to want Dampier back in the lineup whenever you can. Wayshawn Parker has been really good for the rushing attack, and Brian Davis has stepped up as the go-to wide receiver. So you've had a number of questions answered by certain players, and that's been really nice. The defense is going to have their hands full, plain and simple. Stopping Brendan Sorsby is going to be a challenge. However, I think that the Utah defense and Morgan Scalley are going to focus on how do we make life difficult for Sorsby. Because if you're being completely honest, I bet you Utah looks at this Cincinnati team and thinks Sorsby is really the only guy that scares us. So how do we take him away and force these other guys to beat us? That's going to be a way I think that they're going to approach this one. And it all starts up front, which is why you brought in John Henry Daly. You have Lander Barton that's been phenomenal at linebacker, Logan Fano at defensive end. You had guys already on campus that we're going to be able to make life difficult for everybody. And Daly has been a nice spot, a bright spot for this defense as well. So when you're looking at this game, Sorsby's going to have his best performance. This might be his toughest test or Cincinnati's toughest test to date because you're going to Utah at night. And for everyone that doesn't know this yet, Cincinnati's going to find this out. Playing Utah on the road at night is a completely different level of difficulty. It's a completely different challenge, and it gives you a lot more stress of having to figure out, how do we find success against this team? How do we find success against a team and a crowd that is making our life a lot more difficult? Communication is going to be hard. It's going to be tough to hear anything and get your checks. So how do you have that in place? How do you have that system in place already? Do you go with a silent count? Those are things that Cincinnati has to figure out, because this Utah crowd is going to be absolutely insane. They're going to be going nuts. They're going to be loud. They're going to make things difficult for Cincinnati. And if they're not ready for that, it's going to be a long game. It's going to be a long day for Brendan Sorsby, and that's going to be tough. And for that reason, I'm going to go with the Utah Utes to pull out the win. They're 7.5 point favorites for a reason, and they're going to keep their Big 12 title hopes alive.